Hello everyone, and welcome to our fourth Innovation in Disability Inclusion event here at Atos. Welcome to our Americas edition. I'm Neil Milliken. I'm a middle-aged white male. I'm wearing a dark jacket and a purple top in honor of Positively Purple. We're celebrating the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. I identify as one of myself. I have dyslexia and ADHD, so I'm proud to wear purple. The UN theme today is amplifying the leadership of persons with disabilities for an inclusive and sustainable future. And I've just returned from the International Labour Organization, where we talked about disability in business, taking it from the margins to mainstream. We're building upon that theme today, going from margins to mainstream, redefining workplace inclusion with a redefinition in policies and standards, aligning to legal norms. Really looking forward to having a discussion today with a great roundtable led by James, where we're going to be discussing policies in the US, Mexico, and Canada that govern disability employment and workplace inclusion, both current legislation and policies, but also what's coming up next. Innovation is at the heart of our accessibility program, and we're excited to be able to showcase our brand new AI tool with our accessibility compliance team, and also Cici, who is one of our legal contract managers based in Mexico. I'm exceptionally proud now to hand over to Trudy Fountain James, who's our General Counsel for Atos North America. Trudy has been and continues to be a fantastic mentor and role model for colleagues with disabilities, and has rightfully earned the 2024 FT Innovative Lawyers Awards North America for her contributions to both the legal and DEI fields. So thank you all for being here and for your commitment to making our workplace more inclusive. Over to you, Trudy.
Thank you, Neil. I want to wish a warm greeting to all the attendees and viewers today. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. I am thrilled to join you as we celebrate the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. This day is globally recognized to promote the rights and well-being of persons with disabilities, visible and invisible, in all spheres of society. It's an opportunity to reflect on our progress and renew our commitment to inclusion. I want to thank each of you for your presence and your engagement. Your participation is crucial in driving forward the conversation on disability inclusion. Whether you have apparent physical disabilities or hidden disabilities, everyone deserves to have a level playing field without ableism. As someone with neurodiversity, my journey has been one of embracing my unique perspective. This has profoundly influenced my approach to problem solving and the legal practice. You've heard me call it my superpower. Neurodiversity equips me with a natural aptitude for innovative thinking and meticulous attention to detail. These traits are invaluable in navigating complex legal landscapes and crafting creative solutions. Leveraging my neurodiversity strengths has allowed me to spearhead initiatives to drive both legal and business innovation. For instance, my unique problem-solving skills were pivotal in resolving a critical compliance issue last year. It would resulted in a significant cost savings for the company. I want to emphasize the importance of moving from tokenism to genuine inclusion. True inclusion goes beyond token gestures. It requires a creating of an environment where everyone feels valued and supported. As a company and individually, we must actively work towards dismantling barriers and promoting genuine understanding and respect. For example, I have challenged our team at Atos to find ways to continually improve and streamline our own workplace accommodations processes to ensure timely and effective for all employees. Here at Atos, our self-identification campaign will empower employees to voluntarily disclose their disabilities in a safe and confidential manner. It is so important to self-identify so that we as one Atos can give you everything you need to have a level playing field and succeed. There is no shame in this game. Look at me. As you've probably heard me say before, a diverse and inclusive workforce fosters a culture of creativity and innovation. It enhances our ability to understand and meet the needs of diverse clients and customers as well. As a technology leader, Atos understands technology plays a crucial role in advancing disability inclusion. Our use of generative AI to develop accessibility solutions is a prime example of this. Our global accessibility team has created an AI-driven tool that simplifies compliance with accessibility standards. This tool has been instrumental in helping our clients navigate complex regulatory landscapes. We have collaborated with leading companies in the defense and retail space on hiring initiatives that prioritize disability inclusion. These partnerships demonstrate our commitment to creating inclusive opportunities within and beyond our organization. I would like to share my personal experience of overcoming challenges related to disabilities in the workplace. I understand all too well navigating the workplace with neurodiversity has presented its challenges. However, with each obstacle, I've also been presented an opportunity for growth and resilience. For instance, I developed a personalized system for managing tasks that has significantly improved my productivity. Atos has provided me with Dragon Speech, which allows me to work faster and smarter. Sharing these strategies with my colleagues has inspired them to explore and adopt new ways of working. I urge everyone to actively support and advocate for disability inclusion. Together, all of our companies can create a more inclusive and supportive environment for all. Our company remains steadfast in its commitment to fostering an inclusive environment. Here at Atos, we believe the value of diversity and the strength that it brings. We have several initiatives underway to further enhance disability inclusion. Our upcoming Self-ID campaign is designed to better understand and support our diverse workforce. I want to thank all of you for your attention and participation today. Your engagement is vital to this collective process. I hope this event inspires and motivates us to continue advocating for disability inclusion. Whether here at Atos or in your own companies, I hope it's vulnerable enough to make you feel and help you towards self-identification and asking for the tools you need to get the job done. Remember, together we can make a meaningful impact. I encourage every one of you to reach out to me if you have any concerns or questions, and please have a lovely day.
Thank you, Neil and Trudy. It's really great to be part of a company with such a strong commitment to inclusion and accessibility. I'm James Thurston. I'm the accessibility lead for us at Atos here in North America. I'm a white male with gray hair, glasses, and a blue shirt. And I have with us today 3 people from across North America, from Canada, Mexico, and the United States. And they're going to be sharing with us some highlights around policies and standards activities in those countries that all of our companies and organizations absolutely need to be aware of as requirements, and also just to strengthen our own commitment to our employees and customers with disabilities. So our 3 panelists are leaders and experts that are well known to many of us. From Canada, we have with us today Dino Zupa, who is the CEO of Accessibility Standards Canada, where he oversees the development of equity-based accessibility standards. From the US, we have Eve Hill. Eve is a partner at Brown, Goldstein, and Levy and a founder of Inclusivity Strategic Consulting. She's also the general counsel to the National Federation of the Blind and policy and legislative counsel to the State Exchange on Employment and Disability. And from Mexico, we have Monica Duem, who is the director of the Global Advisory Center at G3ICT, the Global Initiative for Inclusive ICTs. Monica is also the founder of Here Colors, a leading company in Latin America that's focused on digital inclusion. So Dino, Monica, and Eve, let's jump in. We know that policies and standards should be guiding all of our organizations to continually improve how we are supporting employees and customers with disabilities. Here at Atos, at any given point, we're probably tracking more than 300 different policies and standards around the world that are important to our business and to our customers. Dino, Eve, and Monica, can you give us a really high-level overview of what companies and employers of all types should be paying attention to in your countries as part of their requirements and their own disability inclusion journey? So first up, Dino.
Thank you, James. I'd like to say that I'm a white middle-aged male with graying hair, and I'm wearing a white shirt and a blue suit. To start off, James, I'd like to bring attention to the Accessible Canada Act. Anything in Canada starts with the Accessible Canada Act. This act came in force in 2019. It's aligned with the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. It was supported by the largest consultation of persons with disabilities in the history of Canada. It created three main entities. First, it created a standard development entity, and that's the organization I work for, I lead. Second, it created an enforcement and compliance entity, and third, it created an oversight entity. The goal of the Act is to create a barrier-free Canada by 2040. To do this, it has developed several requirements for federally regulated entities, including the requirement of having an accessibility plan. And several provinces have similar requirements. Focusing on the organization I lead, Accessibility Standards Canada, we are Canada's standard development organization. We have built a resilient and thriving culture of nothing without us with a strong commitment of intersectionality. What I mean by this is that out of the hundreds of individuals that work on developing our standards, 80% of them identify as part of an equity deserving group. And the majority of these individuals identify as people with disabilities. We haven't found another standard organization that has this type of engagement or inclusivity, even in Canada or across the world. To support these individuals, we provide all the necessary accommodations. We have a fully accessible work environment equipped with innovative wayfinding and evacuation procedures, full spectrum lighting that is individually controlled. And I invite you, as a model, I invite you to take a virtual tour of our office, which is on our website. To support our standards development, we conduct and fund inclusive research to support our standards. This research is free for anyone to download on our website. We have over 90 projects, and thousands of individuals across Canada and the world are involved in this research. And again, 80% of these individuals are part of equity deserving groups. This is a one-of-a-kind research program in Canada and possibly the world as well. This research uses lived experience to develop recommendations to prevent barriers on our standards and across Canada. Our technical committees are designed to maintain a mindset where accessibility is good for everyone. This is why our committees, so when you use our standards, when you see the regulations in the Accessible Canada Act, they've shifted the focus from developing minimal or having minimum-based technical requirements to equity-based technical requirements. This means our standards and the regulations in Canada are looking at the entire spectrum of barriers and go further than current best practices. We know that accessibility means different things to different people with different needs. We've also realized that accessibility is everyone's responsibility. So we've made all our information, all our standards, all our research free for download on our Center of Expertise, and it's in multiple formats, accessible formats, including plain language, HTML, and some summaries have been translated in ASL and LSQ. So specifically, Canada has adopted the EN 301549. That's the 2021 version, accessible requirements for ICT products. We plan on adopting the 2025 version when it's released. We also plan on adding additional content for discussion for future revisions. We are developing an accessible and equitable artificial intelligence standard. It will be available for public comment in February of 2025. It focuses on removing unintended statistical biases towards vulnerable populations, such as people with disabilities, and it encourages human oversight in specific circumstances to avoid cumulative harm. As a precursor to the standard, we've published a technical guide that's available, a technical guide on accessible and equitable artificial intelligence that's available for download and use right now on our website. We intend to publish our employment standard on December 3rd. This employment standard will be part of the Government of Canada's employment strategy and also be recommended for regulation. This standard focuses on designing a barrier-free work environment, putting the responsibility on the employer as opposed to the employee to remove barriers. The standard includes the entire life cycle of the employment process and envisions a work environment that's accessible, inclusive, barrier-free, and free of discrimination. We're also developing an additional 17 standards on the areas identified in the Accessible Canada Act. And some examples include plain language, accessible built environment, wayfinding and signage, accessible service delivery. In conclusion, Canada has a legislative goal in legislation stated the goal to become barrier-free by 2040. Accessible Standards Canada has a big role to achieve this. For more information, we ask that we invite you to consult our Center of Expertise to download or benefit from our research, our standards, and technical guides, which are all free. Ultimately, the more we share our best practices with one another, the more aligned we are on a global scale. Thank you.
Dino, thank you so much, and really congratulations to you on that kind of stunning data point of such a high bar for inclusivity there in your standards work. Really unique and important. And thank you for the preview of the new employment standard as well. So next, Eve, it would be great if you could point us towards the priority policies and trends here in the United States.
Sure. I'm a white woman with reddish hair, wearing glasses and a black and white jacket. And here in the US, we're primarily guided by the Americans with Disabilities Act. And the standard for public-facing technology under the ADA is equally effective communication. So that means that people with disabilities can get the same information, engage in the same interactions, in the same timeline with substantially equivalent ease of use. That's a very practical standard, not a technical standard. So the Justice Department recently issued a regulation under Title II of the ADA, which covers state and local governments, saying that equally effective communication in the digital sphere means the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.1 Level AA. And that regulation requiring that specific standard will go into effect in 2026 for large entities and in 2027 for small entities. In addition, the Department of Health and Human Services, under Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, has issued a regulation recently, also requiring the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.1 Level AA for digital access for any entities that get federal financial assistance. So we've covered both state and local governments and any entity, which includes a lot of different kinds of entities, that gets federal funding or other assistance from the Department of Health and Human Services for their exterior public-facing websites, digital technologies, and so forth. In the employment context, the basic standard under the Americans with Disabilities Act is that employers cannot discriminate against employees with disabilities and have to reasonably accommodate qualified people with disabilities. What this means in the technology context does not have a specific standard at this point, but cases are working their way through the Equal Employment Opportunities Commission process to challenge the use of inaccessible employee-facing technologies. So there's no specific standard for employee-facing technologies other than you have to provide people equal access to be able to do the essential functions of their jobs. So we're facing a lot of employers who have not thought about that requirement when purchasing their employee-facing technologies. And reasonable accommodations to sort of put in workarounds around those inaccessible technologies very frequently fail. They're not equally effective. They're more expensive. They're more difficult than it would have been to just purchase accessible technology to begin with. And so once an entity has purchased an inaccessible employee-facing technology, it's really going to have a very high standard to try and reasonably accommodate around that technology for employees with disabilities. We've also been recently getting guidance from both the Justice Department and the Equal Employment Opportunities Commission about artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence is being used in hiring screening tools. Those have been the subject of this EEOC guidance, which makes clear that employers have an obligation both to make sure that the employment application screening tools they use are accessible to people with disabilities, but also that they don't screen out people with disabilities. And this is showing up as a significant problem, that the models on which the AI tools are based don't sufficiently include people with disabilities, and so they screen out applicants with disabilities, which is clearly discrimination in violation of the ADA, and employers are going to be responsible for making sure that those tools, when they use them, don't discriminate in that way, as well as that the tools are accessible to applicants with disabilities themselves. In addition, we have Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act, and that covers federal government technology and requires all the technology that the federal government uses to be accessible according to the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.0 Level AA. And that's a big issue for any vendor who works with the federal government, because that covers both external facing websites and technologies and internal employee facing technologies. And so a bunch of cases are making their way through the courts right now in which the federal government is using inaccessible technology, and those vendors who provided that inaccessible technology are really going to struggle to keep those contracts in the future because they violated Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act. And internally, the federal government is paying a great deal more attention now to accessibility of technology, requiring the agencies to report very detailed information about how they're making their technologies accessible, both on the front end and for technology they've bought or used that's not accessible, how they're remediating that technology just as quickly as possible.
Great. Thank you, Eve, so much. I appreciate those remarks, and I think it's important that you point out that these policy landscapes in the U.S., but really in every country, are often changing, sometimes rapidly, and can be a challenge to stay on top of, but it's important to stay on top of it for sure. And also, I love the point of making sure that that as you are investing in technology to deploy across your own workplace, that it's better, faster, cheaper, smarter, and more inclusive if you think about accessibility on the front end as you're making those procurements and those investments rather than after the fact. So thank you for those remarks. And then finally, Monica, can you just give us a sense of the landscape there in Mexico?
Yes, thank you, James. My name is Monica. I'm a blonde Mexican wearing a blue scarf. In Mexico, the leading institution that introduced technical requirements for accessibility is the Federal Telecommunication Institute, so the equivalent of the FCC. In 2014, they published a law obliging all the telecommunication operators to have accessible websites and accessible stores and contracts for everyone according to the standards. Mostly the standards that were mentioned in the law were the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. So it started with them. They're the leading agency because in a way they included in the law not only the requirements, but also the economic fees and the economic price that the companies will pay if they not comply with the accessibility requirements. So that really changes the landscape in Mexico. And we can now see that almost 10 years after the law was published, we do have the telecommunication operators working on the accessibility of all their technical and digital channels. So it was really a game changer policy in Mexico. After that, 2015, the government follow up with an agreement that establishes the obligation of government website to be accessible. It doesn't include an internal website, which there's a still way to work and go there for the rights and of persons with disability, but at least the agreement says clearly that all government websites had to be accessible for persons with disability. Again, hopefully and thankfully more naming the WCAG. So we're all in the same line in terms of standards. In 2018, we worked no more on the law requirements, but in the norms. We work to develop the Mexican standard for procurement of accessible technology. So we use the European standard for procurement of technology, and we created the Mexican standard. So we do have a Mexican standard that clearly says what are the requirements when procuring technology if you're a government, for public procurement, to make sure that all the technology that's been procured by the government is accessible according to the standard. So we do have that. It's aligned with the European standard. And Mexico, we import a lot of the technology that we use. So we think that if we align our standards to the European or the American ones, the Section 508, a lot of the technology that we import to Mexico, we can make sure that we will be aligned, and at least there will be accessible as we want for persons with disabilities. So that's a standard that was developed in 2018. But I think that the standard that is having or creating the more impact in Mexico is the guidelines to promote labor equality. Those standards clearly said that there should be equality of opportunities to promote the work and to promote labor opportunity for persons with disability, non-discrimination, working condition. They also talk about the importance of training and awareness. I do believe that training is key. No, because even though we do have the laws, we have the standards, if we do not train the different profiles in what we are in understanding by accessibility, what are the guidelines that are need to be being put in place, it's impossible to implement. So the norm for equal opportunities talk about the importance of training and awareness, and also they make reference to accessibility standards. They talk about inclusive design. They're talking about the importance of complying with regulations. So here companies are encouraged to use WCAG for their website and their digital channels, and ensuring that every user has access to the information and the services they offered. And also they encourage evaluation and continuous improvement. So we do have clearly in the equal opportunity laws for persons with disability, it's clearly stated that it is important that companies provide inclusive work environment, both in the physical and the digital space, in order to make sure that they have equal opportunity. So for companies to being able to get certified under the labor equality norm, they have like a checklist, and some of those requirements includes accessibility of their technical of their telecommunication and information technologies, which is great. So that really has changed the landscape. A lot of companies want to be certified on that norm, and they're really pushing towards making their work environment more accessible. So what we can see in Mexico is, on one hand, the companies that want to get certified on the labor equality norm are working on making a better digital environment. And on the other hand, we have the telecommunication operators that are really doing a very good effort in becoming more accessible, because they're under these Federal Telecommunication Institute law that is monitoring them and making sure that they comply with the norm. Other things that we can find in Mexico that really improve and have helped to make the environments more accessible, there are various fiscal incentives in Mexico to promote the inclusion of persons with disability in the labor market. So they go hand in hand with the description of what is an accessible environment. You cannot hire persons with disabilities and get these incentives if you do not provide an inclusive environment. So those kind of incentives have helped really to create more inclusive working environment, also more inclusive technologies. There are tax deductions, employment subsidies, as well as social security contributions, and there are subsidies in specific training for digital accessibility, which is great. So if I'm a big company and I want to improve my digital environment and make it more accessible, I can get subsidies from the government to do training programs and make sure that we do the necessary accommodations to have a more inclusive environment. So I think it's moving from, as James said, I've been working in this area for almost 20 years, and I've seen improvements. Of course, after the pandemic, when everybody was obliged to work online, the thing really changed, and the ecosystem really step up in becoming more accessible. We still need more. I mean, we're waiting to see what's happening in Canada, what will happen in Europe with the deadlines, and the US to be inaccessible, to see really companies will follow up. Hopefully they will, and in Mexico is more from the awareness, the training, and the tax incentives that we're trying to make a change in this landscape.
Great. Thank you so much, Monica. And it's really wonderful to hear how in Mexico it's been a priority to align with global standards like the European norm, Section 508, and WCAG. So congratulations to you. I know you probably played a role in making sure that there was that focus on harmonization. And thank you, all three of you, for your great works, your generosity in spending some time with us and our audience today. I really appreciate it. Next, we will move to Alexandra and an exciting Atos innovation that's very much related to this policy discussion. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, Alexandra Notnagel speaking for welcoming you to this demo session in my role as Atos Group Accessibility Program Manager. I'm a German woman married to a Frenchman with long brown hair, wearing a blue-purple dress for my grandma paired with an Atos blue business suit and a Frankfurt Galaxy cap. Being autistic, I've often felt like I'm from another planet, which is why I've named all my pets after celestials. In the background, you made sport my new family member, Vega, a Mexican Xolo being trained as my service dog. In our Global Accessibility Program, we deliver solutions worldwide. For this demo, we collaborated with our Accessibility Compliance team and America's legal team to showcase our brand new AI tool, enabling to chat with our policy and legal norms. It's my pleasure to welcome Sofia Jordanova and Cecile Martinez.
Thank you, Alexandra. Hello, everyone. My name is Sofia. I am a blonde lady in my mid-30s from Bulgaria. Today, I am wearing black and white jacket and dark blouse with pink lipstick. I am happy to greet you all. My role is Global Accessibility Compliance and Regulatory Advisor in Atos. I am responsible for guaranteeing that our company adheres to accessibility and disability inclusion legal norms. Atos and Eviden have offices in over 70 countries and must ensure compliance in all these regions. Atos has developed an AI tool designed to navigate the relevant norms, ensuring adherence to all kind obligations worldwide. Our team uploaded all necessary documents and details to train the tool, so this way the AI tool can provide everyone with the guidance they ask for accessibility and inclusion topics. Let's dive into a demonstration to see how it works. Today, we will be demonstrating how this tool can assist users with various questions. Let's get started. Nice to meet you, Ceci.
Thank you, Sofia. Hello, hola, et bonjour. I'm Ceci Martinez, joining from Monterrey, Mexico, and I proudly embrace my Mexican and Spanish heritage as a woman with brown hair, brown eyes. Today, I'm dressed in a white blouse paired with a blue and white tweed blazer. Alexandra, do you know that a Xoloscuincle dog is a very important meaning for Mexicans, especially during Dia de Muertos? It's a symbol of protection, loyalty, and guidance. Oh, good. I am a legal contract manager for Atos and a diversity and inclusion enthusiastic. I have 3 children, and one of them is autistic. Through them, I've discovered the true meaning of life and the depth of unconditional love. Well, let's start. I am excited to test our AI tool together.
What would you ask the tool?
Hi, Accessibility Bot. I've been hearing that some new accessibility and disability requirements are coming soon in Canada. Can you summarize the main points in 100 words?
Summary of new accessibility and disability requirements in Canada. The Accessible Canada Act aims to enhance full and equal participation of persons with disabilities by identifying, removing, and preventing barriers. Key points include establishing the minister's mandate, powers, duties, and functions. Creating the Canadian Accessibility Standards Development Organization with specific mandates and functions. Focusing on accessibility in areas under federal jurisdiction. Targeting a barrier-free Canada through structured standards and compliance measures.
Thank you for the information, Accessibility Bot. Awesome. Ready for the next question? So what would you say is the main goal, web accessibility in 100 words?
Primary objective and benefits of web accessibility. The primary objective of web accessibility is to ensure that websites, tools, and technologies are designed and developed in a way that people with disabilities can use them effectively. This includes enabling users to perceive, understand, navigate, and interact with the web. Web accessibility benefits users with various disabilities, including auditory, cognitive, neurological, physical, speech, and visual impairments. It helps by providing text alternatives for non-text content, ensuring keyboard accessibility, and making content adaptable and distinguishable. These measures allow users with disabilities to engage with digital content independently and efficiently.
Absolutely, that's spot on. Digital accessibility is all about making sure websites, apps, and digital content work for people with disabilities. This includes things like adding alt text for images, making sure everything is navigable by keyword, using color contrasts that are easy to see, and adding captions to videos. Following standards like the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines is key. Thank you all for your attention. I hope you found this demonstration helpful. I found AI chatbots to be incredible, valuable tools, specifically in my work as an attorney. When conducting research, I often need to sift through legislation across various regions, a process that can take hours, but with this tool, my time is reduced significantly.
Additionally, the chatbot can offer personalized advice, helping you to understand international accessibility laws. Whether you are a user with a disability, contract lawyer for a company and expanding into a new market, or a buyer implementing new policy, the chatbot is here to assist you 24/7. It's important to remember, though, that the chatbot offers general information and doesn't replace professional legal advice. For specific legal needs, consult a qualified attorney like Ceci and me. If you have any questions or need further assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Handing it back to Neil for an event closing.
Well, wasn't that fantastic? Firstly, I need to give a big thanks to Alexandra, Sophia, and Cece for that great and impressive AI demo that you've just watched. I really want to thank our host for today, Trudy Fountain James, for participating today, but also for being an impressive and key sponsor and enabler for accessibility and program initiatives in the Americas and beyond. Thank you to Alexandra for your work as program manager, making all of this happen, and to James, my lead for accessibility in the Americas, for moderating this fantastic panel session with Dina, Eve, and Monica. Thank you three for your insights and for helping us understand what we need to do and what everyone needs to do to be more inclusive. Finally, I need to thank our event management team for the production work, and Vishal, who has been leading the work in the background, coordinating all of this. Thank you as the audience, and see you next time.